That's why I don't lie. I got in trouble for shit I didn't do. So what's the point of me lying if I'm gonna get in trouble anyway? And I learned that lesson from a young age. I learned I learned more life. I've been through more life before I turned 11 than other people been have gone through, and they ain't even 80 when I was 11. And then when I say certain, that's why I don't like talking about myself and, letting people get to know me, because they're not gonna understand. I'm a misunderstood person because people don't relate to the life that I had or have. And when you think about it, they say people make things look easy, but you don't know what it took for them to make it look easy. Kobe making 60 points a game look easy, even though he drenched in sweat. Michael Jordan made getting 6 rings look easy. Now, no matter if anybody passes 6 rings, they're still going to look at Michael Jordan like he's the GOAT. For years to come, they're going to look at Michael Jordan as he's the GOAT. And then they're going to be looking at LeBron James. And then they're going to be looking at the Kevin Durant's. And then they're going to be looking at the Steph Currys. Then they're going to be looking at those guys, right? But those guys put in that work. And sometimes you see the people that see them put the work in, and they still have something bad to say. So either way, you already knew what you were going to say. You already had your perception. That's why I don't argue with people. You already knew what you wanted to say. You already knew what you were going to do. So it's easy for me to figure it out alone, because I watched my father figure it out alone, and people did not help him. And while he was figuring it out, he was helping others. My father made it look so easy. That's why I always wanted to be like my father, until I got to the age, I was 19, and I said, yo, I can't spend, like, this is how I was looking at it, right? Every day I work for somebody else, I'm losing my life, right? I'm wasting my life, and my life is being wasted. So I rather spend my time building that knowledge and making myself rich. I want to own my own companies. I want to own my own businesses. I want to be the Rockefellers and the people that y'all look at and talk bad about, the so-called secret government, the people that's behind the presidents and all that stuff. I want to be one of those guys. But I also like being on the front. I like being on the front line. I like being the front man on the stage, on the mic. Because I feel like, plus a lot of people, when I was working at Wendy's, that's when it started. And my old friend, shout out to Cocaine Cam. But Kamaria, she was always telling me, like, she was always freestyling, and that shit was just getting me hyped. Like, yo, she's so dope. Till this day, she's my favorite rapper. She's the only rapper that I know can just come off the top of the head and just spit bars for fucking hours. But yeah, we was like, anytime we had a break or whatever, she was always, because I she did music, and I told her that I was writing and I wanted to, make my shit. And she was telling me, yo, just do it. And everybody been telling me that. The customers in the drive-thru, like, yo, you sound like you on the radio. You sound like you should be on the radio. Yo, you make music? You sound like you should be on the radio. And those are the strangers that God sends. Because many people didn't tell me that I should be on the radio. Only like a few times it happened. But those few times that it happened, those are the moments that you say, yo, that's a sign. Yo, that's a sign. Like the other day, this lady got locked out. She couldn't get no alcohol. She couldn't get no smokes. And she was upset. And, as I was walking, I like to walk, She was talking to one of the managers about it. And, she had turned to me, asked me how I'm doing or whatever. And she had repeated what had happened. And I was like, that sound like it's a sign. And she was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, it sounds like they banging on your door and they trying to get it, they trying to get in touch with you. That's how I communicate, right? Because I know everything, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And my father taught me that nothing happens outside of its time. And my father's still learning. When my father learns stuff and me and him get on the phone and we have a conversation,